Welcome to Rotten Taste, where we take a look at movies under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and tell you what we think of them. And first, before we get into this, just want to say Happy Star Wars Day to everyone. May the 4th be with you. And we usually look at movies under 50%. We're breaking the rules just slightly by 1%. Today we are looking at The Phantom Menace, which is 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. Could be debated, should be a little bit less. But this movie obviously got a lot of hate, and if you ever heard me and Soto, we do not love this film. So we had to bring a special guest. With us today is Madness. Madness, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, and the reason we brought Madness is because you said you love this film. You love The Phantom Menace. So I'm going to give you the court to begin with. Just tell us, starting with the beginning, why you love The Phantom Menace. Well,
the main guy in it is Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson. Throughout that film, just amazing.
And just Qui-Gon, that's basically it.
Oh no, I've got a full list here. Who makes the film? But yeah, don't worry, I've got the list.
No, I'm just giving you shit.
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson. You know what?
All right.
Enough said. You know what? Game
Interesting.
Well, before we
Jeff
really
Goldblum
get into it, Phantom Menace came out 16 years. It took 16 years for a new Star Wars film. Return of the Jedi was 83. This is 99. And I remember when they finally announced this, me and my friends, we went to the Mall of America. We stood in line because you couldn't, buy your tickets. They had double security. You had to check your stubs. And I was excited. I was like, oh my God, finally some new Star Wars. The turn of Anakin. Because we all knew what was going to happen in these prequels. The whole point was,
sure.
Let's just get to it, but how they got there. And then I watched it and I left the theater and I felt nothing. I just was like, oh my God, do I even love Star Wars anymore? There was just, don't get me now. I know I'm going to throw on a lot of hate. There was some good parts to it. I do admit Liam Neeson's casting, it's hard not to love him. But the funny thing is, why did Obi-Wan never bring up Qui-Gon in the original trilogy? He just never brought up again in the whole thing.
That's the beginning of a lot of questions that I have. Yes.
Well, Soto, let's go to you because we know you absolutely hate this. Where to start? What is your one big gripe about The Phantom Menace?
Well, first of all, I saw this movie, and I think I talked about this on a previous video too. But this was This probably was the first movie where I was like, I don't think this is a good movie. I had skipped school in the middle of high school. I skipped, I think it was analogy. What was it? What class is it? Whatever it was like some biology class or whatever, but we skipped it. And I went there and I was just like, at the end of it, just like you, Chad, I was kind of just like, huh? Right from the very beginning, when it's Trade Federation bullshit and all that stuff, I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? I knew exactly how it was going to go. I knew the plots, that it had to hit and everything like that. But from the very beginning, I was stunned at how just boring it immediately was. There were some cool moments at the very beginning with Qui-Gon and, obviously doing his shit as a Jedi that I liked.
Yeah.
I think he was doing some force running bullshit.
That
I thought was pretty cool. But, oh my God, it made me so angry the more and more the movie went on. And I spent a good 20 years really hating this movie. Now I'm just kind of ambivalent towards it. So that's why I'm so open to new thoughts and ideas about why this movie is good. Yes.
So you're open to new thoughts. So Madness, I know me and Soto are a little bit older and we kind of grew up in a different era of the original Star Wars. But tell us, what were your expectations from the Phantom? Did you? I'm hoping you saw the original trilogy before you saw this, correct?
Yes, of course.
All right,
yep.
Just making sure. I'm just making sure because that could change people's point of view. So
True.
After you saw the trilogy, what were your expectations of the Phantom Menace going in, and what were you hoping for?
I was kind of hoping for a better version of Yoda. Because I say the old ones, you could definitely see the puppetry. As I would say, the CGI was going to be better for it. And I say, it's kind of like the new age of CGI, because you had the Matrix coming out as well that year. And, I say, even when you see some of the scenery and stuff like that and the battles, and it really knocked it out, for me. It was kind of a new age of CGI. I thought that made a good step forward to it.
Yeah, no, the special effects were awesome. I remember seeing the trailer, like when this trailer was on TV, and just losing my mind because whoever
Yeah.
cut that trailer was a fucking genius because it had everything that I was like, oh my God, that was like me, a little kid's wet dream. Like I saw this crazy mysterious character who had a double-bladed lightsaber,
Yeah. Yeah.
who looked badass. There was all sorts of, just general gravitas in the trailers. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I'd
And
say that about the back three,
my
but that
my
made it worse
life
for
has
me.
been, yeah, my life has been changed ever since because it never lived up to that hype. And what the first question I'll ask you, and one of the first problems that I have is my issue with the midichlorians. So do you have an opinion about this? Do you feel it adds anything to the lore in a
No, I think
positive
that
way?
kind of ruined it for me. When you start going scientific, it kind of ruins it. I like the thing that it was kind of like something special out there, and
Yeah, like a spiritual like part
yeah,
of Star Wars, correct? The Force, right?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, when they say the Force be with you, it's kind of like a Christian saying, God be with you. That's what I
Right,
thought, and then
exactly. Right.
that
So
kind of ruined
So,
it a bit there.
so you brought
okay,
up
so
Darth Maul.
midichlorians bad.
Midichlorian, yeah, no, I
Yeah,
confusing. Who knows?
We've
yeah,
reached
that's it.
common ground.
Yeah.
Anakin
Well,
Skywalker is, young Anakin has more than Yoda. It's like, well, when did midichlorians become a thing? Um,
Mm.
yeah, never
so
see that in the middle three.
no, I did fall into the lore of the book, so I'm like, is this new? What's going on? Why?
Yeah,
So you did bring up Darth Maul, which I have to admit was one of the coolest characters in Star Wars
yeah,
universe, all the films, and that you're right, Soto, the double-sided lightsaber was fucking awesome because at the
When I
time he
first saw
was
that, I blew my
yeah.
fucking mind, bro. I was
we,
like running around living room like a fucking maniac. I was like, that
That's
was the
it.
coolest
Yeah,
thing I ever seen, dude.
but
you see
so
that word,
we
bro.
definitely one of the cooler characters, and I felt like wish more screen time, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah,
mishandled.
So now
Mishandled.
we go from one of the best to one of the most questionable characters in Star
Oh
Wars
God, I
history.
forgot
You
all
know where
about
we're
this too.
going.
yeah.
Jar
Hold on.
Jar Binks.
Poor
Now,
Jar Jar.
I know when they were filming, they were trying to make it more kid friendly, so the something more kids can enjoy. Kind of like the Ewoks, but the Misa this and Misa that just got
Oh
so
my God, it's
annoying.
terrible.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't know if you guys know this. When they were filming the Phantom Menace, all the actors and the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, they looked at him like, "Oh my God, you're going to be the most popular character." Like they thought Jar
they
Jar
just
was
didn't
actually
know.
going to be a huge hit because of the kids, and it turned out. Now, to me, the most annoying, and I'm glad they toned him down for 2 and 3 because I've heard rumors about other things, but we won't get into that. But Madness, I know you love this film. What were your thoughts of? Well, let me ask you, what were your thoughts of Jar Jar when you first saw this, and maybe what are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts now on Jar Jar Binks?
When I first
Yeah.
saw it, I was like, "What are they doing?" I was like, "No, please don't." And I saw it as soon as I came out. All the different merchandise and all that. Like, everywhere I went
Yes.
in the cinemas, in the shops, I was like, "No, they're just throwing it down, trying to make money from it." But now I kind of warmed up to him, which is kind of weird. I mean, I was like, yeah, this isn't too bad. He's a good character.
Jar Jar Binks. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yesterday
Still,
when I
even
watched it,
now.
I was laughing. Yeah, no, I hated him when I was younger. I liked him now. I
You know
kind of
what?
relate to him as a clumsy guy.
Given the context of Jar Jar now, like I will say when I watched it, like I'm not mad at Jar Jar. I'm just like, oh jeez, because
Yeah,
in me, it's like for us in the United States, it's like Jar Jar's kind of like borderline racist too. So it's like got
yes.
this weird
I think that's
connotation.
what I like him now.
It's got this weird connotation in the United States where you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at this. This is inappropriate. But it's also a space alien. But it's like it
Yeah.
brings a certain chord. So,
That's it. Yeah.
so yeah, at the beginning, I was just, to me, and Jar Jar fits into this at the very beginning. It was just so boring,
Yes.
and everything felt very forced. And I felt that, it was just kind of thrown together, and the whole Gungan bullshit, and the
Yeah.
boo and all that. I mean, the costume set design, oh my God, amazing.
Correct. Yeah.
Just
Yep.
That's where
just
the
the way
money
that it
went.
looked, everything like that, like that's where the money went. But the fact that George Lucas had to lock himself into a room so that he could write one page of a script a day, and even then, it came out terrible. Like it really does show in literally all the dialogue and everything that happens in these. I mean, I know he wrote A New Hope, And then I think it was two different directors in the original trilogy, but this one had his stamp all over it, and it was like when it comes to substance, it just was so boring, and the dialogue was so terrible. So, but I know why I hate it. So let's go and switch gears to like, I want to hear more about your points of why you like it, and then we'll go off of that.
Well, I think once they started doing the pod racing, it started getting a bit, exciting. Like I say, I don't like that
God.
beginning bit with the.
Oh, the pod race is so boring.
Oh, I
Jesus,
liked it.
that's one of the
I
most
liked
boring
it.
parts of the movie.
Oh, I liked it.
You know what?
man.
I have to agree with Madness. The pod racing is finally when something went right in this film for me.
Yeah, that's when it
Because
started warming
it was
up.
a little,
Yeah.
it was the different change of pace. Because to me, before we get into more of the likes, one of the things I hoped for the Phantom Menace and that I wanted to see that I did not see is I wanted to see more of the training. The Jedi, I knew they were going to get Anakin, but more of the Jedi training. And you hear about the trials. Obi-Wan is like, I am ready for the trials. Show me that shit. What do you have to do to become a Jedi? They talk about all this cool shit, but they don't want to show you the cool shit. But the pod race, I have to admit, you knew obviously the outcome and everything like that, but I found it entertaining. It was fun, and obviously I love the snipers out there in the middle of the mountains. I like to think like NASCAR. I'm like, that would make NASCAR kind of cool. Just some random people.
Yes, it's down in the south. Let them fire guns.
But for me, I thought the
500
pod
laps, take it
racing
out.
was kind of entertaining. It was shot well for me, and I will be honest. There's not a lot of things I
Just
like.
merchandising.
But that's when it started. Well, yeah, I think about the PS2 game,
Just a
the pod racing
commercial.
game.
That's all it
whole thing
is.
was
Like you're like,
commercial.
this commercial is really good.
Like I say before that, it was all about the trade thing and all that. Like, it was a bit slow starting, but then the medal of him, and I think he kind of added a bit of life into it.
Yeah, I mean, here's a thought for both of you guys. And I think that it would have been vastly improved if this was the case, but I think that my opinion of Phantom Menace would have improved if Hayden Christensen was in Phantom Menace as well as the other two ones, as opposed to Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, like maybe a little bit near the end, add that kind of like he's moved on, it's near the end, it's showing up, growing
You know
up.
what I mean? It would have been like a little bit more like consistent. I would have, yeah, Hayden Christensen by no means is a good actor in any of these movies, but I just thought the choice of having Jake Lloyd or the little kid as Darth Vader was so dumb.
Yeah, I mean, one of my things that I have a problem with is he is trying to mac on Natalie Portman. Now, when this film came out, Natalie Portman is 18 years old. Jake Lloyd is 10. There's just something wrong about a 10-year-old hitting. Are you an angel? Blah blah. Like at least
so
it was
dumb.
they were closer. Like
It was cringy.
No,
yeah, they could have
again,
made it
super
sound a bit
cringe.
older.
I don't think they ever officially gave the ages in the movie, but knowing their ages in real life, it just did not fit. Now, if he was
Yeah,
if it was just like
55
the
years
first
difference,
meeting,
but-
like no love story yet, or no trying to hit, I would have been more okay. But him hitting on Natalie Portman, I'm like, no. But I
Because
actually
we all
agree with you.
knew.
Yeah.
We all fucking knew, you know?
Yeah.
But all right, so the pod race was good. So after that, Madness. What is something else? Let's get away from Jar Jar. We all, the childish humor in pod race. Where did this become? What's another good point? What's another exciting point that you
Battle
loved about the
droids.
Phantom Menace?
Roger. Because I remember laughing then when they came back in, I can't remember what anime cartoon it was. It was one, I don't know if it was the Clone Wars or whatever it was, but yeah, there was hilarious in that as well. They kind of like tickled my humour a bit. Roger. They get wiped out in one hit.
It is funnier than I remember, I will say.
Got
Rewatching it,
thousands
I'm
of
like,
battle
it's,
droids.
it's way funnier.
But yeah, so it's not. No, Soto, come on. Obviously we're having a laugh and stuff like that, and we have a few good. I have to ask you. Now you mentioned Darth Maul. You did like Darth Maul. What was probably your favorite part of this movie? Was it Darth Maul, or is there something else? What did you? There has to be something. I know we love to say you hate this whole movie, but come on, there had to have been some kind of enjoyment at the bottom of your heart that you like.
I
Nothing.
No, the Darth Maul part was cool, and it's like when he's pacing back and forth and staring at you and McGregor and shit, and like it's like super badass. It's like that part was cool, but even as a younger child, I knew that the pacing was terrible. Like things just started happening, and there was no like build up or any sort of like payoff to stuff. Like when Darth Maul showed up, it's like I was looking forward to that scene, the whole movie because I had seen it in the trailer. So I
Yeah.
thought it would have just a little bit more, I don't know, drama to it than just like some random like
Time of
no
force fields.
dialogue situation. Yeah, it's like whatever. But I mean, it was cool. The fights are cool. The score was awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but just overall as a fucking as an idea, as a movie, and what it would end up representing for the whole entire Star Wars franchise moving forward, it was just the initial first like, uh-oh, this is not going to be as good as the original movies.
I think that's kind of what put a thing when I try and compare it to the middle three. There was more serious, trying to get the point across, like New Hope and all that lot. I think they tried giving it a bit more humour, the first three. So you got
Yeah.
memes and all that lot. And I think they tried going after the child type of audience than the
Yeah.
actual more sci-fi. Uh,
And that was tough
Andy.
to swallow, like, and
Yeah,
that was tough to like get used to because again, the original movies are fun. Of course, Empire Strikes Back is very dark. Return of
yeah,
the Jedi has its problems. Even as a child, I knew it has problems because I thought the pacing of the last part was very rough. But like, I just felt there was so much potential because the original trilogy had set up all these ideas, and all you had to do as a writer and director was to just execute those ideas. And if you had just executed them the way that we remembered them, and you just filled in the blanks, and we were already ready, we already knew what the ending was going to be. If you had just gone along that path, it would have been much better. But you had to go into marketing and the funny stuff, and it made for overall lesser quality, product. And fucking Qui-Gon shows up in the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Sorry, Chad, spoiler alert, but
yeah.
Obi-Wan is a
Go.
force ghost in that shit. And it's like, oh, it's so pandering to the Star Wars audience. So,
But yeah, I
Oh,
liked it in that way. I think you find that sometimes with prequel movies, they don't kind of live up to the originals. I found that I can't remember what movie it was, but they did like a prequel to it, and I was like,
yeah.
no, this is not working. And I think
I
that
mean,
kind of happens.
all you had to do was just make Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker best friends and just have them
Yeah,
get into shit. That's all
see,
you had to do. That's
I
it.
that's another thing that I have a little problem with, and in Attack of the Clones, it kind of showed a little bit more, but when we watched the original trilogy, it always seemed like they were the same age, and I don't recall
Yes.
Obi-Wan talk about, again, I'm going back to original trilogy, talk about how he
yeah,
trained Anakin. It seemed like the two
yeah.
of them were best friends. And so the age gap
Yes.
between Ewan McGregor and Jake Lloyd, again, it's just like, okay, you
Didn't
got
make
the
sense.
mentor, which is great if that's what it was, but originally it just felt like you said, two buddies just, and they did that a little bit in Attack of the Clones, but here again,
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of things seemed rushed. I think they introduced,
Yes.
some, new characters. Some worked, some didn't. Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu. I mean, I get it. They kind of want this, Jedi
Diverse.
Academy or Council, excuse me. And yeah, no, it's just such a weird casting choice. But fuck it, Samuel L. Jackson's great, But
That's it, isn't
it's just like Liam Neeson's like, all right, this is great, Samuel, but there's no point to it.
it? Yeah.
uh,
You're right. Exactly. There's no point. And nothing happens. And it was a waste. If they had just been true to the thing and not made it a kids movie, like I said earlier, and just made Hayden Christensen as bad as he is, being Phantom Menace, I think it would have been a much stronger movie. I think I would have believed it because we all know that Padme and Anakin are going to get together, and it's just really weird, like we talked about earlier, that she's clearly like way older than this like fucking 8 to 10 year old kid.
mhm.
It's like I
Yeah.
don't buy it at the beginning. And then when you watch the next one, Attack of the Clones, it's just like, and that's where a lot of memes come from. Is that second one?
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
trying
it's
to
just
find the
like,
funny
my
side of
God,
things.
dude. Like Phantom Menace was such a terrible thing. I think it's the weakest of the three of the prequels for sure.
I'm trying to think. My brother said he likes the first two, like I do. But he thinks the third one's not good. It kind of like leaves a
The
bit of a
third
two book.
one, the third one has its problems, and I'm sure we'll get to that some other time. But
No,
or we could do like a
don't make
Teenage
us
Mutant
suffer.
Ninja Turtles thing right now and do all three
Yeah.
right now.
Oh my
That's it.
god,
But
Yeah,
no.
settling.
the third
Settling.
one is the third one's its own thing. But like this one is like it just fell flat, and the Jake Lloyd thing was just that the whole like child like monetization part of this film is just what makes this film just terrible. It's very low effort. But a gorgeous piece of shit.
We could say
All
that about
right.
Avatar, but we won't go into that either.
Oh my god, that is a fucking stellar, gorgeous piece of shit. That is a feast for the eyeballs. Like Jeff Goldblum, like just humongous pile of shit. It's right there.
All right. Before we get going, it's been fun. I mean, I will admit, I think this is the first time I've watched The Phantom Menace as a whole since I saw it in theaters. I don't think I've ever
Wow.
returned to this.
Wow.
I had no need to. I might have, like, if it was on TV, I might have caught a scene, but I have not sat down. So, yeah, like I said, when I left the theaters the first time it came out, it was
Yeah.
tough because you felt empty, and I had all this love for Star Wars. Now, it is what it is. I mean, I
Hmm.
just accept the fact that they just wanted to sell out, make something more kids. I think the darkest part of this
Yeah.
movie is Darth Maul being cut in half, which I was like, oh shit.
Which he
Um,
Yeah, and then
survives, I guess, by
yeah,
the
he comes
way.
back in the
in a book,
cartoon, yeah.
I don't know how much in that lore. Yeah, he gets like some legs or claw legs or something like that. I don't know. I don't
It's
follow
dumb.
all that. My question is, if they can use the Force and they've been pushing each other, why don't they do that more? But yeah, I mean, Darth Maul was a cool
Yeah.
character. I wish there was more of him. Personally, I
Yeah,
wish there was more training. That's the stuff I wanted. I
Yes.
thought the first film should have
yeah.
been, because that's the
They
stuff
did
like,
all that with
okay,
Luke. They could have done the same with him, yeah.
correct, because I think that would have made us feel for Anakin more. Because again, we all knew the fate of
Yeah.
the prequels. We knew what the turn was going to be, and I think this kind of made that moment less, and each film towards that final turn just less and less. And I don't know, they could
Yeah.
build it up. But before we go, Madness, any last words about the love of Phantom Menace? Tell the people watching this why Phantom Menace is good, and any final points you want to make.
Yeah. The Gungans are better Aquaman than the actual Aquaman films. There you go. I'm ending on that.
Soto, is there anything you wanted to end on this, or you just like you
No.
done with Phantom Menace, or any last
No.
final
I
points?
mean, again, I've watched this movie so many times on dares in the last like 15 years.
Wow.
Oftentimes there was a conversation that's been running where, and we can get to this another time, but we used to have a running joke of which movie was worse, this one or the first Pirates of the Caribbean. And there were some
Ooh.
times, actually, it was
I
this
gotta.
one, first Pirates of the Caribbean or the movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Those three movies, to me, I could not decide which one I'd rather watch if my life depended on it.
Well, now you watch the
I've
Phantom
watched
Menace,
this.
so your life doesn't
Yeah, that's
depend
it.
on it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Like if I like which one would I prefer over all those? I don't know. They're all terrible, but I'm softening on the Phantom Menace,
that's
but
what I like to
because
hear.
and this will be for another conversation, but because the new Star Wars movies are also terrible.
I think the back three are the worst.
They have. We could debate that some other time, but yeah, they're not great.
That's a
They're
show
not.
for
I'm
a
not gonna.
later date.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
Revenge of the
they're not.
Fifth.
They're not great.
25th.
That's for sure. But we should do a video where we literally just do every single fucking Star Wars movie in a row.
oh
I
my
would be down
god.
for that.
I will
You've got.
fucking walk down that path.
All right, we will
I can
discuss
start.
this at a later time. See how many people can get this. But in all seriousness, Madness, thank you for joining us
Thank you,
talking the
Menace.
Phantom
Oh,
Menace.
it's always a pleasure.
He does have his own channel. Check it out. Obviously, we're gonna link in the description. But thank you for telling us why
Hmm.
you love the Star Wars. And you know what? I honestly, though I might disagree with you, I do respect your opinion that Phantom Menace is
Oh,
good. I will respect your opinion. You might be
I
wrong, but
respect
I
it
will respect it.
absolutely.
right.
I look. These are just stupid ass movies. Like, of course I respect it.
That's it, yeah.
It's just a fucking movie. It's not that
Yeah,
serious.
gonna
I
unfriend
know.
me after this, but
I'm just having fun with Madness. But again, thank you for joining us.
yeah.
For those who lasted this long, let us know what you thought of the Phantom Menace. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What'd you think of the prequels and sequels? Should we do a battle? That's something to talk about. But anyhow, have a happy Star Wars day. May the Force be with you.